I'm gonna risk dating myself here, but I remember using the internet back when it was not as mainstream and as easily accessible as it is now. It was the early 2000s, you had to pay for an extra subscription which brought the internet to your home, and you had to buy a computer which at the time was pretty much just an expensive toy reserved to the households who had the means to buy one. And once you got over all those hurdles and you finally sat down and turned on your brand spanking new Pentium 3 equipped machine connected to a 128 kilobits landline, you could surf on the web and try this crazy website your friend told you about. It's called Goggles or something, and it has the answers to all of your questions. Images for any common object you can think of, and the best thing about it is, you don't even have to go to the library anymore. You could just wait for about 10 seconds for a higher resolution PAL image to load up. Want something new to eat? Search for easy recipes on Goggles. You'll find a carefully crafted blog that specializes in homemade pasta. Want to learn about quirks and features of your car and other maintenance tips? Search for a forum discussing your brand of car and you'll find a place to meet all other people who will take time out of their day to share their experiences. You've never felt more connected to your human peers, and the world seems full of possibilities. Now fast forward to today. Google has evolved quite a bit in the last 22 years of its existence. Its name went from interesting oddity to a common verb you use to tell people to stop being lazy and do their own research. It has faced countless challenges as it became more and more dominant in the search engine space, such as privacy concerns, free speech, search results bias, disinformation or misinformation, etc. But today we're not here to talk about any of those subjects. All of those subjects have really talented people working on them, and many solutions have already been proposed by search engines like DuckDuckGo, Brave, etc. Today we're here to talk about the absolute plague that affects the search engine space. Let me ask you one question. The last time you wanted more in-depth results about some subjects you're interested in, did you Google it, or did you search for content on a specific website like Stack Overflow, YouTube, or some other authority website that you trust? Chances are, if the keywords you look for are even slightly popular, the first 3 pages of your results are going to be filled to the brim with SEO optimized badly made websites, where the content seems to be written with a 2006 version of Google Translate, and you're left more confused as you quit the page than when you first opened it. Overall, in today's search engine space, I'd say there are about 3 categories of searches that you can execute. 1. The super trending popular subject like the pandemic, the elections, recent events, politics, etc. And usually what you get out of most search engines is leads to very mainstream organizations such as CNN, your country's print media, authority organizations, etc. 2. You have the super niche subjects where good matches are so few that Google doesn't really have a choice in terms of what to present. And short of content flagged as mature or from shadow banned sources, then it just shows you things as they are. But finally, 3, and this is where our little problem comes in, you have all the search queries in the middle. Those that are not so popular that they warrant a web page from mainstream media outlets that are trusted by Google, but are popular enough to make Google have to choose what it puts in the first, second, and third page. And this is where the problem comes in. Maybe you've heard of the term SEO, Search Engine Optimization. Now very quickly, this term designates all the practices the website owners can do to improve their ranking on search engine results. Because the higher you are in that page, the more clicks you get, the more traffic you get, the more money you make, etc. And although in the past this has been abused by a handful of people, and even some companies based their entire business model around what is called SEO spamming, over the time, Google has gotten better and better at differentiating between actually relevant content and content that was made to look relevant by optimizing for keywords without really providing any value to the user. So that was the first wave, we could say, of what I like to call distribution hacking, or how to use the main drivers of traffic to your advantage at the detriment of the users supposed to benefit from it. And while I would say this first wave has been somewhat tamed by Google, I think that the second wave of distribution hacking has already started, and it's called AI-generated spam content. Before we go further, I think it's important to outline the difference between AI-generated content and AI-generated spam content. If you're using AI to write content about sports results, and you're providing the users with the actual sport results and some AI-generated filler for those who can't stomach the results without the fluff around it, then I don't think this counts as spam. This is an efficient solution to an annoying problem, and it doesn't really hurt the user as it gives him what he wants. It helps the writer use their time more effectively instead of spending it on some unfulfilling article that has to be written solely for SEO reasons. However, there's another type of AI generated content that is just straight up spam. There's no way around it. Let's say for example your shower drain has been clogged and you're googling to see how you can repair it without calling a plumber. If you go on YouTube, you'll get videos from real people who took time out of their day to show you the real way to unclog your shower. If you go on Google, Bing, DuckDuckGo, whatever, they're all the same, all you'll find is a compilation of layers on layers on layers of AI generated content that just lists all the right words in order to rank for your search, without actually showing you how to unclog your drain once you click on the article. It'll be something like, how to unclog your drain. Unclogging a drain is something many people do every day. It is good for unstucking water out of your shower. Here are the top 10 reasons why you should unclog your drain. Here are the most frequently asked questions about unclogging your drain. La 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 la. You know the type of articles I'm talking about. These are articles completely generated by AI, and what they do is they look for a search query that has been requested frequently, but where the supply is not that high, so they know there's an opportunity to outrank existing results. They scrape the web to aggregate information from already existing web pages. Text is written by AI, and some keywords are inserted throughout the text to further optimize for the search. The end result is some unnaturally badly flowing mess, because AI in 2022 is still not at that level of competency in writing. And what's even worse is that for some keywords, the AI spamming has been going on for so long that the content aggregation is no longer based on human written sources. It's now based on those badly written AI articles. So it's AI copying AI to generate content that will eventually be copied by even more AI down the line. And it's just a mess. And this is a real problem with today's search engines. Unless your search query is so niche that no SEO optimizer has thought about spamming it, or unless your search is so popular that you don't even have to click on a link because Google will already show you an answer anyway, you will fall prey to the sea of bot generated content that is not informative, not helpful, and just a waste of time for everybody. And if this was the case because no actually relevant results were to be found and you have to have some filler AI generated content, then I guess that would be okay. But that's not the reality of it. Under the tens of thousands of poor quality, SEO optimized, AI generated web pages, there are thousands of blogs written by real people who can provide way more value than anything a primitive AI can generate. And these people are not getting the exposure that they deserve because they just can't compete on an SEO level. If you're a technical person and you're looking for a new challenge, I would urge you to spend some time to see if some AI detection algorithm or like some AI text detection algorithm can be created and implemented into a search engine. I would 100% switch all my browsers to set engines if it had an option to like toggle ignore all AI generated articles in my search results. Maybe privacy has been the leading theme when it comes to marketing trends for search engines, but I'm willing to bet that in the future this theme of AI generated content versus human generated content will become a concern for a big group of people. This has been Alex Alpha, which is 100% human and not an AI generated voice. Beep boop. I'll see you next week.